Matty Loves Podcast. Matty Loves Podcast.
Welcome to episode 999.
Niner.
Yes, of Matty Loves Podcast. I'm your host, Matt D. Simone. As always, I'm joined by Dr. Tom Lucas.
Hello, world.
This is a momentous day for.
Oh my God! Yes.
For a lot of geeks in the world. It is ForceFriday as we're recording this and posting this. I don't know if it's going to be able to get out in the same 24-hour period. I certainly hope it will. But anyway, it's a big day. This is the official release of all the Force Awakens toys and merchandise and all that kinds of stuff. So Disney is raking today.
Oh, it's a license to print money.
Certainly.
It's basically what it is. ForceFriday, as far as I know, there's never been a ForceFriday before, right? This is the first ForceFriday, right? Okay, so the machine is now going to be a relentless, rolling machine until we get to December, when the new Star Wars movie comes out. And I was pretty excited by the concept of ForceFriday in general. Mainly because, when I was a kid, Star Wars figures, had first come out, and really the idea of the action figure really kind of solidifies as a toy product with those initial Star Wars figures. So the inner child, my 7 or 8 year old, saw all this stuff about to be released into the world. And it gave me chills, man.
Yeah, the good feels.
The Target ad, right? The 2-minute video that Target put out. It's not even really a commercial. It is a collection of home movies and videos of kids playing with Star Wars toys. For my taste, I would have really loved to see more stuff from the 70s.
Okay.
I remember the Christmas that I got the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
I remember the Christmas that I got the Death Star. Okay.
Was the Death Star just basically a thing to hold all your figures? You snap it open and inside is the war room and all that other stuff that.
Other toys I think G.I. Joe and some of the other big ones. No, the Death Star was sort of a pie-shaped wedge-shaped play set.
Oh, okay. It wasn't even round or anything.
No, and
okay.
For those of you listening, you may even want to Google it right now. It's basically triangular in shape. On the single point of the triangle was the tower. And I want to say there's an elevator in it. That tower is very critical for when you want to role play out when Luke swings Leia over the light bridge and they turn off the tractor beam.
So you can live that.
Yes. On the what you would call the basement or the first floor of the Death Star was the trash compactor. Okay? And it was filled with little foam trash and the Snuffleupagus or whatever it is monster that they fight in the trash compactor. And it had a little wheel so that you could make the wall, come in on your characters. They would enter from the first floor. There was a little trap door that you could jam them down into the trash compactor.
Right.
Right. And that was like a control room kind of thing.
Okay.
And then on the top floor was the cannon. Okay. You could put a figure sitting into the cannon. Of course, the Death Star itself, the cannon is basically what looks like a reverse satellite dish, on the surface. And then it had these cardboard panels that you would slide into that front side of the Death Star so that it would look kind of like the exterior.
Oh, right.
Of
all
the
right.
Death Star.
Okay.
Opening that, the closest I have come to getting that rush of opening up a toy on Christmas, your birthday, Hanukkah, or whatever. A toy that you have seen tantalizingly in commercials, you know. As you get older, like for me, it's harder and harder to have moments like that. The closest that I have come is when my now wife, 1 year for Christmas, I got the Xbox 360 and a Red Wings jersey. It was really a good Christmas. So, Force Friday, the Target ad really played into those emotions, definitely for me. Now, many people went last night at 12:01 a.m. to Toys R Us's, Targets, Walmart's, Disney stores, you know, the whole shebang, where all the goodies were laid out.
Yep.
You know, for everyone to see. I decided not to go out last night after looking at the initial toys that are being offered, and some of them are banging. At the end of the day, quite literally, there was nothing that made me want to get in the car, have to have it right now, right this second. But Matt, at 7 this morning, what happened for you?
Okay, so, late last night, as I was getting done with the old day job, I cruised on down to my local Walmart to see what they had in store. And I think what they did was they set out a few things, but they didn't give you the whole run of everything because there wasn't any Lego stuff or any of that stuff out. It was really kind of the smaller things. And so this morning I woke up around like 7:30, and I hopped the wall and went to the Target right beside my apartment.
How convenient!
I know,
for you.
right?
Did you really hop the wall?
I didn't. I'd get in trouble. So I actually got in my car and drove. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, I went over there, and sure enough, man, as soon as I walked back to the toy section, they had exactly what I wanted. And that is POE DAMERON's X-Wing, which is sitting right beside us.
It's bad to the bone, dude.
Dude, it's black, man. It's black, and that's the key. That's the key with it, man. And I think that might be the little Batwing in me or whatever.
Right.
But still, man, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now across the room, and I had an X-Wing fighter when I was a kid. This is basically the same model. It's got a cockpit to put the character in. You press down on the droid unit to get it to go into X mode.
Right.
My toy was exactly the same. I cannot recall whether or not it shot a rocket. It looks like this bad boy shoots a rocket. And the one thing is that X-Wing was white plastic. And, I gotta say, it looks better in black.
Yeah, man, no doubt. I mean, from the jump, if I'm going to cast myself in a role of a new Star Wars movie, it's definitely POE DAMERON from the new film, man. I think that oh gosh, what's the guy's name that plays him? Is it Oscar Isaac?
That sounds about right. What I wanted to do is tell me about Poe, man, because as important as Star Wars is to me,
sure,
I've really been holding back on over-researching because, and we're going to get to this, I want to be sitting in that theater in December, hopefully on opening night, and I want to feel like I felt when I was 7 years old.
Right.
And when I went in, when I was 7, I didn't know anything. They didn't do, as far as I know, they didn't really do any kind of pre-release media back then because a lot of people thought the movie was going to be a flop,
Insane.
And so I went in cold at 7, and of course it changed my life, which is why I'm so happy to be talking about it today. But, they've been doing quite a bit of marketing, Was Comic-Con the first place that they screened the trailer?
No, actually, they stayed away from Comic-Con, and they reserved all of their stuff for the first time we saw anything was during the Disney weekend Star Wars weekend back in May.
May the 4th.
Right, May the 4th. All right, we got it then. And then when Disney had their annual expo, because they don't do
Disney's
E3.
so big, they just do their own thing.
Right. And that's
sense.
that's where we got a little look into a little more of a. That's when we got the second trailer for Episode 7, I do believe, and also I think it was the first look of Rogue One.
Okay.
Which is going to be the story about stealing the Death Star blueprints.
Okay, and that's going to be a standalone?
Yeah, I do believe that's a standalone
feature.
They're calling them anthologies because I think it's a bunch of stories that we've always heard about but we've never seen.
Right, that only in our child's mind did we play out. In an earlier episode of Matty Loves podcast, I talked about envisioning the great fight between Obi-Wan, and Darth Vader, on the lava planet.
Right.
And, it was this thing that I knew about as a child, and there was absolutely nothing you could go to experience it. So they're going to bring in the lore, right?
Mm-hmm.
The key pieces of lore and give us the story. How exciting.
I know. And in an age to where... I guess our comic book heroes, all we're getting is origin stories left and right.
Yeah.
Star Wars is the perfect platform to find out, when did Han Solo, become a scoundrel? Was he always a scoundrel?
Uh-huh.
I mean, the little backstories.
Are we going to get a Kessel Run?
I know, right? The Kessel. We got to get we got to find out how long 12 parsecs actually lasts.
And I think the world has to, and I am really willing to accept a young actor playing Han Solo in any future anthology stories. It's okay. Harrison Ford has aged.
Right.
He can't play the young Han Solo during the Kessel Run.
Yeah, as long as it's not like Chris Pratt,
Yeah.
No offense to Chris Pratt and all, but like people have been talking about, if there's a Han Solo movie, who would it be? And he's the name that just keeps coming up. And and
for Indiana Jones too,
right? And I mean, I get it, man. He's hot commodity right now,
right.
And he's very entertaining. But I think that Han Solo's origin, we need a fresh face. We need a fresh face for all this stuff.
You need an up and comer. River
Certainly.
Phoenix played the young Indiana Jones for a minute.
Yeah,
and nobody really knew who he was. At that point, he had done a little bit of stuff, but he was still...
He's known from Stand By Me.
Yeah, and
the teen magazines.
We need a young guy with swagger, to come in and do some Han Solo stuff. I want to see more Han Solo stories. Yeah, I'm down for these new characters like Poe. So what's Poe all about? What do you know about
So
Poe?
all I got on Poe Dameron is the fact that he's leading the Black X-Wing Squadron, and I'm not talking about like African American. I'm talking about the ships are black.
Oh, it's not a Red Tails in space kind of thing.
No, even though that would be a really hilarious jab. But
It
no,
would be George Lucas. So
yeah, apparently he's like the go-to X-Wing pilot 30 years after. All the shit went down pretty much.
He's the number one ace.
Yeah, and I'm sure when we do our episode 7 super cast or whatever we're gonna call it, I have a feeling that this is going to be your death in Force Awakens. I think Poe Dameron's going to be the one that bites it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, you think it's going to be apotheosis? Right,
Yeah,
it's going to be he's going to sacrifice himself for the cause, and it's going to be glorious,
Yep,
right?
and it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be the most heroic thing you've seen in years.
Yeah.
Right?
So mark my words right now. Here we are in the first week of September, and I'm telling you right now, Poe Dameron's going to die.
Oh man,
you heard it here.
Okay. The one thing that looking at the toy too is that for a guy who's an ace. I do wish, like fighter pilots have, we can go to, go into the danger zone here for a minute,
Okay.
Fighter pilots have their nicknames and their little, I think about old World War II planes with their cool little painted on pinup girls or little logos or things like that. I do kind of wish there was, a little customized note, because when you're a pilot, you're a cocky son of a bitch.
Right.
You know, and
you're dangerous, Maverick.
You're dangerous, Maverick, right? And you know, it would have been cool to see like some kind of little customized image slapped on the side.
Sure, like a little, like a lady.
Toy. Yeah, a little lady.
Right. Well, we don't know this yet, though, dude. Like, we don't know. We don't know.
It's not on the toy, but maybe you'll be able to mail in. I wonder if you have to put stickers.
There better be stickers on this damn thing.
So when I was a kid, everything had stickers, and of course, it was so easy to screw them up.
Right,
You're so excited to play with the toy that you just start slapping the stickers on really fast. You know, not worrying about too much about precision, but then later on, you're like, damn, I kind of wish I had taken my time.
Yeah, dude, this is totally old school. Is that going to
fly around the apartment later tonight?
Yeah, I think that might fly around a little bit.
Are you going to get a TIE fighter eventually, too, so that you can have the duality?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think I might have to do that as well. Pick up the TIE fighter, and I want to get a Luke. But
which Luke?
Well, see, I don't think they made a Luke in the Star Wars Black series. I have Kylo Ren.
I want to say that they did, and the reason why is because
in the past, but I don't know if they did.
Not a fresh one.
Yeah, not a fresh one.
Not a fresh.
Yeah, I want a fresh Luke. I want a grizzled Luke.
I want Luke operating the moisture farm gear. That's the one I want. Yeah. Well, again, ForceFriday, which is today as of the recording, this is not the end of the toys.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
We're going to see so much more coming. Yeah. Prior to the show, I had explained to you, Matt, the importance of the original Millennium Falcon toy that I had as a kid. It was big. It sat on your whole forearm. It had a pistol
grip. It's like a gun, yeah.
Yeah, and that thing went on adventures everywhere.
Right.
And you could cram a whole bunch of figures in there, and it had the guns and the whole bit. I'm really not loving the Millennium Falcon offering, which is also full size, that they have going on right now. They did a redo of that Millennium Falcon toy, the one I played with. They redid it, I want to say, about 10 years ago. It was like $200.
Ridiculous.
The interior of it, though, was really well crafted, well designed, looked great, you know. And there's a part of me that, you know, one day when my wife's not looking, I might just go on eBay and get me one of those.
Well, where did that come from?
I don't know. I always had it, honey.
Right.
I just had it packed away, and I'll be called for shenanigans. And then, so you didn't see any Lego stuff. You're up for the Lego stuff? You're going to do the Legos?
Well, that was the whole thing with Walmart that disappointed me so much, was the fact that the Lego stuff they didn't have any. I went to Target, and, you know, I have like $350 worth of awesome Lego stuff just staring me in the face saying, just buy me. Go ahead and just buy me.
Oh, yeah, right.
So,
what are you looking at specifically?
Man. Well, they have the New Order TIE Fighter. They have the $150 Millennium Falcon in its glory. I mean, it looks just amazing.
Does it have an interior?
You know what? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does. And then they had a couple of other vehicles. They had like this transport unit, I think, for stormtroopers or something like that. This big gray burly thing.
Yeah, like a boxy. It's a ground vehicle.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's like a big tank. But as far as like the other vehicles go, like outside of Legos, they had I don't know the name of the new female character, but they have her like little like ride that she has
it's this strange speeder where it's got it's like a paperback book flipped on its side.
It looks like a gun designed by Rob Liefeld.
It does look like I think there's pouches on it, right? So you know, going to that tank thing for a minute, it occurs to me that, you know, Star Wars has never really been too big on producing ground vehicle toys.
Right, yeah.
You know, of course, there's the AT-AT Walker, which I did not own. But usually you had a kid down the street. Somebody had it. I had the Scout.
Oh, they got the mini ones in this movie.
Oh yeah.
They got like little
one man.
Little one man
Yeah.
AT-ATs. It looks pretty cool.
I did have the Scout, which was cool. You could fit a couple figures in the Scout, and you do see those on Endor or whatever. They're the ones that they look like chickens.
Right.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
But really, like, stormtroopers don't really cruise around in tanks and don't really do that kind of thing, at least in the toys. I'm kind of curious if that'll change.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect. I mean, you have to think that JJ is going to probably, he's definitely going to go into space and do the space battles. But I think JJ's also going to go into like, just kind of show us a little bit of a different kind of action. Like, for instance, Kylo Ren and Homeboy in the middle of a wooded forest in the middle of the snow. We haven't seen any snow in Star Wars movies before, other than Hoth, but it wasn't a blizzard,
Right.
Notice that it was never, like, snowing a whole lot,
So the film that's coming out in December is 30 years post Return of the Jedi.
30 years after the Battle of Yavin, I do believe.
Okay.
I think so. So it's like...
Are we going to see that sequence at all?
What, Yavin?
Yeah.
I don't think they need to play out any of the other
I don't know.
I mean, who knows? Who knows, man? They're going to have like 3 hours to do it.
What I need to know is what's up with Boba Fett? Is he dead? Is there a grown-up son? What's up with the Fett, man? Because I haven't seen anything Boba Fett oriented.
I do believe that... I think that their intentions for Boba Fett in these films is going to be Captain Phasma.
Okay.
I think that might be
our Boba Fett.
She might be our Boba Fett. We don't know this. I mean, what, Boba Fett, he lasted through, 6 movies. He was in 6
and they were talking about a solo film too, right?
Right. Yeah, and originally there was like someone that like posted this bullshit thing, saying, all the names of these movies coming out, and like one of the names was Solo /Fett.
Was that a comic?
X versus Sever.
Okay. All I know is that Boba is a money character.
Sure. We've talked about him before.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that would have gotten me out the door last night is if Boba was somehow fit into Force Friday.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, there are figs. He does have an armor fig. He's
but nothing new.
No, there's no new.
Today.
No, well, he got eaten into the Sarlacc pit.
No, I guess he escaped.
Oh,
I'm hearing he escaped.
He escaped.
He did kind of go out like a bitch.
I mean, but then again, this all goes back to us talking about how like Boba Fett looks awesome. Doesn't really do anything.
Right. It's time.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Now, I'm pretty sure that in the novels that came out in the 80s, there's all kinds of Boba stuff. And I remember that the Marvel Comics run had a lot of Boba in it. And they took his mask off, a helmet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had a scar, and he looked almost like a dude that would be a space marine in 40K.
Okay.
Or Gears of War.
Right.
Super rugged, some unexplained scars, that kind of thing.
He's seen some shit, basically, more or less.
Yeah, so, because the potential of the character is, man, sign me up. I want to tell some Boba story. He's a bounty hunter. We can take him anywhere. And he's outside of the law. He's outside of the Empire or whatever.
Sure.
And for my money, Star Wars is always its best when it's in Mos Eisley, when it's in the old west shit,
outskirts,
the outskirts.
Yes.
One of the many reasons why I don't like the prequels so much is I don't want to be in capital cities. I don't want to be in high-tech-orama megalopolis. I want to be out on Tatooine. Between the dunes, and and one of the things that I think appeals to a lot of people too is that the technology is not clean. Vehicles are well used. The Millennium Falcon is ancient. It's held together with spit luck, duct tape, and, who knows what else. It's worn. it's not a Star Trek universe where everything's is polished and shined up and Windexed and all that.
Right.
This stuff's been used.
Yeah.
You know? And that was something that in the prequels there was a lot of new, clean stuff. And you know, in my heart of hearts, that wasn't like where Star Wars is at.
As bad as, you know, it sounds kind of bad, but for me, okay, so we're in talking about, like, with the recent release of Mad Max on Blu-ray. Have you picked that up yet?
I have not, but I understand if you go to Target, there's a 64-page comic book that it comes with.
Interesting.
Did you already buy it?
Probably think I own that 64-page book, and you might own some of that too.
Okay, so you think it's just a reissue?
I have a feeling it's a Vertigo. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
that'll save me a trip.
So there's a monochrome cut of this film.
Yeah.
It's black and white.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you go back and you watch A New Hope, Empire, Jedi in black and white, still plays solid. You go back and you watch episodes 1 through 3 in black and white, and it's going to be a mess. Even more of a mess. You know, I thought those films were just too colorful. You know?
They were very rich.
Yeah, there was just there was that black and white quality of the original trilogy that not only played into, like I was talking about, a monochrome version of the films, but also the good versus evil. You know, in those films, there was your good guys and there was your bad guys, and there wasn't anybody in between. You know, there's some people eventually at some points that you thought were doing some shiesty shit, like Lando, but he was just covering his own ass because he didn't want to die. And if you were in that position too, you do the same damn thing.
Sure, yeah. Now Lando's got people that he's taking care of.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's not just him saving his ass at Cloud City. He's saving Cloud City. And Cloud City did have a really clean, polished look.
For sure.
You know, and Empire, you know, we do get into areas where things are very modern and, you know, contemporary for the film. And I think part of it, you know, is that original banged up, used up technology sort of feel in the original Star Wars comes also from budget limitations.
Certainly.
Too. You know, if you dirty it up a little bit, then you don't have to worry about the model
right
really looking all that clean.
Right.
You're like, well, I mean, look at what this ship's been through, kind of thing. And
I tripped me out with The Force Awakens, and when they were showing the model work and everything, I was like, oh my gosh, man, they're going back to the roots, you know, they're doing this for real. Film on location, you know, do your models.
Practical effects.
Right.
You know, every film is going to have CGI. Even if it's a romantic comedy and they get rid of, you know, wires or whatever.
Right,
they're
sure. A prop fall that they need.
Making somebody look a little more toned.
Right.
You know, a little bit more shapely. Their eyes, enriching the color of their eyes. We live in an era where there's a lot of technology that's in the filmmaking, but it is very encouraging to see the water kind of pull back a little bit, you know, from that high water mark where everything was computer driven.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max has tons of CGI, but they used it in so well.
Oh, man.
You know, the practical effect is still the core of the scene. But we use the CGI to make it a little bit richer. The new Hobbit, the Hobbit films that just came out, right? The Lord of the Rings films, to me, are much more enjoyable to watch because a good chunk of what we see on screen was in front of the camera when they made the film. You know, it's famous that is it PETA or the effects house that they made, you know, thousands of swords and tens of thousands of pieces of armor, and there were just hundreds of extras and all that. You get to The Hobbit, it's a video game.
Oh, right.
You know, Ian McKellen, you know, said to basically be crying at how much blue screen he was doing, you know, as opposed to what he did in Lord of the Rings. I'm sure he didn't cry.
When he got that check.
Yeah, he cried. Yeah, he really cried. I can finally get that boat.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm inviting Patrick Stewart for the week.
Right. Hello.
But, yes. My brain rejects things when they're presented as reality and they're not. As opposed to when I'm playing a video game and I watch a cutscene or something, I know it's animated.
Right.
You know, that's the whole point, of course. they're going back to the roots. Lots of practical effects, practical makeup, man.
Yeah.
We were so close to losing that forever.
Yeah.
Because, damn it, Gollum was really well done in Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Just no denying. That CGI character was in the scene, you know?
It cost a quarter of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And really made Andy Serkis's career. You know?
Oh, yeah,
man. Very excited to get that Spirit of 1977 thing going, you know, with less blatant animation, more practical effects, you know, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I wish that X-Wing was out of the box right now. Brother, man, it looks good. I'm sure the next time I come over to record it, it definitely will.
Oh, yeah, it'll be up and flying for sure. Most definitely.
What are some of your other favorite, like, vessels?
Okay, so funny you asked this, and I want to be right here in my descriptions here. Okay, so I didn't come into. Okay, so when I was 6-7 years old, first getting into you know, toys and everything, this is Return of the Jedi come and gone, you know, and I think that a lot of that hype had come and gone too by the mid to late 80s. I mean, surely when Jedi came out, there had to be a bunch of people that were like, "Oh, another Star Wars movie," you know, the people that didn't get it and all that kind of stuff.
George Lucas was like, "I'm out.
Right.
I'm not going to be doing much of this after Jedi for a while." The tone was definitely that there wasn't going to be any new Star Wars for a while.
So, but anyway, so I come into the Power of the Force collection, which was released a few months before Episode 1 came out. So it was basically a re-release of the 3.75 figures, you know, all your old school cats. They had like the green card behind it and everything.
Really? What company? Do you remember? What company
I want to say Kenner did it.
Really?
I want to say it was either Kenner or Hasbro, one of the two.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, and through that, the next series that they released was Shadows of the Empire. Do you remember Shadows of the Empire?
Oh,
Are you familiar with that?
It's like pulsating in the front of my brain. That was. What were the toys that were in that?
Okay, so the main thing that came out of Shadows of the Empire was, or for me at least, was Dash Rendar.
Right.
And he was like the Han Solo of that story.
Right.
A quote from Lando Calrissian, and I do believe this comes from one of the books. He says, "He doesn't want to owe anybody, doesn't want anybody to owe him. He works for whoever pays the most. He's downright magic, and anything that flies, he can pick wing nuts off a tabletop with a blaster without scorching the finish. He's a good man to have at your back when the going gets hot, as long as your money lasts."
That's a pretty serviceable Billy D. Williams, my friend. I'm impressed.
I like doing voices.
Yeah, you know, I was told that I do voices well, but dude, I'm hanging that hat up, man. You are the voice master, man. Without you, for those of you who listen, you know, Matt does all our bumper music, man. All the stingers that you hear before we start a segment. Matt does all the vocal work and all the music work and things like that. I mean, we're not using anything outside of ourselves here to do this show, and man, you do a good Billy D. Williams on top of it, man. I might have you do my outgoing voicemail at some point.
Right? This is Tom Lucas. Leave a message or drink a Coke 45.
Works every time. Right. So, favorite vessels, man. What are the other shit? Now, this is interesting to me too because you have been hanging out in the miniatures game world too, where a lot of the ships are used, you know, in a very active way, not just sitting on the shelf looking pretty, but you're playing them.
Certainly.
So, you know, first and foremost, in the Star Wars universe, the X-Wing fighter is our F-16.
Yes.
It is our, you know, core dog-fighting fighter plane, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
How does it really stack up, in terms of performance? Is the X-Wing something to be afraid of? Will it F you up?
I think one real cool thing about all the Star Wars vessels is they have their own limitations and they have their own strengths.
Okay, so tell me the strength, the plus minus of the X-Wing.
Okay, well then let's put it into perspective of Star Destroyers, that kind of size, big ships.
That's our battleship.
Battleships,
right.
Okay, and then you have these, like you're saying, your F-18s,
Yeah.
okay? So I would think that when you're rolling with the F-8, or when you're rolling with the X-Wing, A-Wing, B-Wing, you're going for speed.
Okay, because an A-Wing is all about speed, right?
A-Wing is all about speed.
It's not a hard hitter.
No, it's like, come and get me because I have one thing that I have to do in mind, and I'm going to accomplish this mission faster than anybody else.
So it's like almost for like a scout.
Well,
right?
yeah, and another thing with the A-Wing, too, is it's a larger snow speeder.
Snow speeders aren't built to go into space.
No, but those are my favorite vessels in all of Star Wars.
I had that toy.
Dude.
I love the back-to-back position.
Yeah, man.
The pilot and the gunner
Yeah,
or whatever.
man. I love the snow speeders. They're so dope.
I love my snow speeder for sure. So the A-Wing also does back-to-back pilot navigator?
I don't think so, no. I think it's just single man.
Basically a snow speeder that can go out into space.
And probably crank you up with a few, like, photon torpedoes, too, at the same time.
Okay.
Your X-Wing, I think your X-Wing isn't a bomber, but your X-Wing is there to get into the dogfights. That's your dogfight ride there.
And you use fighters to protect your bombers.
Right.
Right. And also to be able to rapidly address any kind of incoming, we'll call it aircraft or spacecraft. The B-Wing is the bomber, right? Is it like a warthog kind of thing, or
the B-Wing's the
heavily armored? What's the deal?
The B-Wing I've always thought is kind of shaped like Rom the Space Knight's neutralizer gun. It's like real chunky up top.
Google it.
Yeah, it's real chunky up top, and it has like this like handle almost hanging down. But I
love that you're down with Rom. Nobody's down with Rom, dude.
Man, love Rom.
Nobody probably even knows who's listening to this. I'm gonna say like 3% of the people listening to this right now know who or what Rom is.
I've always had a story in my mind.
You want to tell the definitive Rom?
Well, it wouldn't be
story?
the definitive Rom.
No?
It would just be a Rom tale called "The Many Wives of Rom."
Many wives?
Wives.
Okay.
Yes, and it would be all the females in the Marvel Universe being either the Enchantress or somebody casts a spell over all the female heroes, and they're all in love with Rom.
That's I would read that.
Right?
Yeah.
And Rom has to choose a wife.
What I remember about Rom, and we're going to swing right back to Star Wars real quick, is that it was a toy, and then they did a comic.
Right. Yep. That was the whole deal.
Yeah.
And the comic ended up being just totally badass.
Yeah. Do you have any?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna.
I wish they sold collected because that Rom
there's no omnibus.
Well, no,
Romnibus?
there can't be.
Oh, yeah.
There can't be a Romnibus because Marvel doesn't own the rights. The toy company doesn't own the rights. The creator doesn't own the rights. It's one of those things. It's like in flux.
Right.
And you had these independent presses over the years that have said, yeah, we're going to do another Rom comic and all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Never happens, They need to just say screw it and bring Rom back. When they first, a couple years ago, did this like wall that Tony Stark or Beast had up. I think this was during like AVX. And it basically tells you, it maps out like the next 2 years of stories and what's going to happen.
Okay.
And there was a picture of Rom on there.
It.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, Rom.
He's out in outer space, right?
Yeah,
where does Rom live?
Now that I think about it, I think that was actually in Jonathan Hickman's Infinity, that miniseries from 2 years ago. It was incredible.
Yeah.
But and that was kind of my introduction to Hickman now that I think about it. But I think it was actually during the beginning of that, and they wanted to bring Rom back, but they couldn't get the rights, so they just brought back the Space Knights. So Rom wasn't, mentioned, and you never saw anybody that looked like Rom, but they brought back the Space Knights. But anyway,
So, ships, man.
Yeah, ships.
So
So I told you Snowspeeder.
Yeah.
Now, are you a Millennium Falcon guy?
Well, it
Slave
was
One?
Well, yes,
Okay.
Millennium Falcon, as well established, was my favorite toy throughout my whole childhood, and I had a lot of toys.
Okay.
I did. I was a only child, and my parents were divorced. Toys were very important to me, and I wasn't spoiled. Okay, I wasn't spoiled child, but I did get a couple of hookups. So the Millennium Falcon, I had Slave One.
Sure.
I had the Slave One, and I'm really hoping that in the next few years we see a new Slave One toy. Now that is something that would have gotten me out of the house last night. It really would. Slave One is a ship that...
What happened to the Slave One?
He dropped off. He dropped Han Solo off at...
And that was it, man.
Yeah.
That was it. So who knows? They might dig it up out of the dunes.
When I was a kid, I couldn't figure out how it was supposed to fly.
Right.
Like, how do I... Because in the toy... Did you have the toy?
No. I just have the X-Wing miniatures.
You have its landing position and then its flying position.
Right.
It flies like a steam iron being shoved through space.
It looks like a big iron, like a space-age iron.
When you would... the toy was cool because, of course, it came with a frozen Han Solo. But what you would do is you'd put Boba Fett in his seat, and then the seat would ratchet up to a vertical position. Okay? So you get in and he'd shoot up backwards into his cockpit, and then you'd take off, and then you put it vertically, orient it, and all that. I loved that it had, that detail. And then it just had a cargo hold. But basically it was so when you were having your fun time session, when Boba shows up, Boba's ship is there.
Yeah, right.
Kind of thing. So... It's pretty cool.
Okay, so I talked about the Snowspeeder, but outside of any Rebel or Imperial vessel, because dude, those New Order TIE fighters are dope.
Right? Yeah, they look really clean. I wonder what's different about them.
They're black and they got that little red stripe on them. It's really cool. But this is my favorite ship. Is Dash Rendar, who I spoke of earlier, is Outrider, which is more or less a miniature version of the Millennium Falcon.
It's like the Millennium Falcon,
but a B-wing also.
Taped a B-wing, or welded a B-wing to the side of it. I wonder how it compares in terms of performance.
Well, nothing compares into performance of the Millennium Falcon.
Well, it depends who's flying it.
That's right.
That's right.
Right, yeah. But no, I mean, I think that in the X-Wing miniatures game, it's one of those vehicles or one of those ships that you can fly through anything. There's no hindering terrain.
Is it smaller than the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It looks like to totally violate the rules of the universe, mentioned Star Trek. It looks like the size of the Reliant versus the Enterprise sort of thing. So it's a bad mamma jamma. Is it available in the miniatures game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've played. When I first played the miniatures game, I played with the Outrider, and I mean, it was great.
Do you own it?
No. My best friend back home does, but
is he deep down in it?
Oh, he's got
them all.
He's got everything.
Okay.
Yeah, he paints them. Remember, I told you he paints them up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's coming back to me now.
But yeah, he has all that kinds of stuff, and it's a great starter piece because you don't have to worry about running into shit. You can just go. You don't get any damage, or you don't get any you don't take any damage if you land on an asteroid or any shit like that.
Millennium Falcon has that cool flip move or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That is, or is it they can shoot in every direction? What is the big
the Millennium Falcon and the Outrider can shoot in every direction.
Right. Okay.
Slave One forward backwards
by the same company, right?
Right.
It's
sure.
It's in the model family, so. One thing, too, is a little anecdote that I'd wanted to share today, because Star Wars is something that, from 1977 on, has, continually plays a role in my life in terms of bringing me joy and entertainment and things like that. Chewbacca, All right.
Yes.
I just want to share this little gem of a story. Chewbacca, he's a badass. He's cool. And when I was a kid, I was also obsessed a little bit with Bigfoot. So Chewbacca, so kind of bringing that all into. When I was in college, I was a shitty bass player. I could play bass guitar enough to hang out with people, and with the kind of music that I was getting involved in, that was all I needed to be.
All right.
I got invited to
Just
join
keep
a
time.
band. Yeah, you just keep time, and if I have a decent drummer, I can do, and just ride your G,
Right.
or what have you. I was invited to join a band called Chewbacca.
Incredible.
There was no pause in my acceptance to the offer. The second I heard they were called Chewbacca, I was down. Well, they got cold feet fairly early on in. They got worried that of course every band thinks they're just going to make it.
No, you're going to get signed.
We're going to get signed,
Sure.
and then we can't beat Chewbacca. I'm like, we're in a basement right now. We've never played a show, and we have 3 songs. You're worried about what's going to happen when we get signed?
Right, you should be worried about recording for that doorknob over there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll change it to Chewbacca, and we'll be done with it, right? So anyway, they said, no, we talked about we're going to be called Chew. And in the early 90s, one-name bands seemed to be kind of a thing. I mean, it was especially trendy
right,
at that time.
For sure.
I mean, you can only use so many words in the name of a band anyway. But, like, Chew, I quit. I quit with the same speed that I accepted.
Right.
Because Chewbacca, I want to be in a band called Chewbacca, not in a band called Chew. So... folks, December will be here in a blink.
Yeah.
And we have some pretty exciting plans for talking about, watching, reviewing, analyzing, breaking down, reliving the Star Wars film that is almost upon us.
I know. It'll be here before you know it.
We have some really cool plans for you guys ahead. So, Force Friday... This show, just like the fake holiday that it was today, is just the first kick in the pants for what is going to be a nostalgia ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Epic proportions
No
between,
doubt.
We got September, October, November, and December 16th?
18. This is the first time in so long that I have been able, when someone says, hey, when does this movie come out? I'm like, December 18th.
Yeah, right.
It's been so long since I've been able to just spout out June 20th. That was the day the Deftones' White Pony was released in 2000. I remember that, okay?
That's great.
I just little things like that. It's always good to have, and I got a great feeling about this movie.
I do.
I really do. This isn't a I'm telling myself it's going to be good. Folks, this movie's going to be good. It's just going to be various degrees of acceptance for this film.
Right.
So that's going to be exciting. And I mean, with all that, I think that this is going to probably wrap up episode 9.
14 weeks away.
That's right.
14 weeks.
That's
We
right.
have 14 weeks to just massage this and love this and oil it up.
So you're going to hear a little Star Wars here and there now for the next 14 weeks. That's for sure. But we're super excited here.
It's Force Friday. What else could we talk about today?
Exactly. So, hop on Matty's podcast at Twitter and hop on our Facebook page, Matty Loves Podcast. Give us a shout. Let us know what you're thinking about the upcoming Star Wars flicks and any of the other stuff we're rapping about. It's really exciting times right now for Dr. T and myself.
And join the party. We haven't been doing too much with the Facebook page. We want you guys, show up. Give us a holler. Tell us, your favorite Star Wars nostalgia, anecdote. Let's have a good time.
Right. Absolutely.
These months, we won't get to relive them. Okay.
But at least we'll be able to remember them forever.
Let's have fun.
Yeah.
So we invite you to that, and come to the website too. Leave comments. we want to hang out. We want to talk to you.
All right. Well, for Dr. Tom, I'm Matt D. Simone, and may the force be with you.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you on the next episode of Matty Loves Podcast.
Matty Loves Podcast. Matty Loves Podcast.